Oh hey, I didn't see you there. My name's Michaela, and today I'm going to be your saddling instructor. Now let's get started. Okay, I'm just sitting and editing this now, so it's just a warning. I say the word alright about 1,000,000 times in this video, so yeah, just a warning that I use the word alright too much. Also, if I don't make sense, sorry. So first thing you're going to want to do is obviously catch your horse. This girl's name is Magic. She's not my horse, she's my dad's horse, but she's the quietest to saddle, so we're going to use her today. Come here, girl. Alright, so the next thing you're going to want to do is grab your brushes from your tack room or your barn. And you're going to want to, I use these two, I don't know what they're called. They look like this. And then just really make sure they're brushed out nice. If you like, you can use this kind of brush to brush out their mane and tail. But also, we have this kind, and you can use this more. And you know, there's lots of options, but something like more like almost a human hair brush. So yeah, just make sure you get them all brushed out nice and good. Make sure there's no dirt left, especially where your saddle is going to be going. So really make sure you get underneath of their stomach. Just make sure that there's no dirt or anything there. So when you do the cinches up, there's no irritation for the horse. And make sure that their back is nice and clean, just so that you, again, have no irritation and they're as comfortable as they can be while you're riding. Also make sure you get their legs, just as important. And probably should do a better job than I'm doing right here. I'll just scooch her over here. And make sure that you get all the dirt off. I know I said that before, but it's a season of mud here. And she's actually pretty clean. Make sure you get all the mud, all the dirt you can off. Clean off their legs. Perfect. And depends on the time of year and the weather conditions, but then I usually get some mosquito spray if I'm going to be riding out in the pasture or frankly anywhere lately. Give them a good spray down everywhere. Make sure you focus on here, between their legs, back in this area, what's that called? Flank area, and in between, underneath their tail. And then as well, I like to get their face a little bit as well. Try to avoid their eyes, but it can irritate them quite a bit. Alright. Just gonna quickly brush through her mane as well. Alright. So now we're gonna move on to the saddling. That is the most important part. It takes the most care. I mean, obviously brushing, you need to do a well job, but if the saddle doesn't fit them right, or if it's just not on, they won't be comfortable and they might act up for you. So we'll move on to saddling next. Alright, so we're gonna move on to saddling. And so what I start with is just a saddle blanket. Not everybody uses this. So if you don't, it's fine. You can just go on with a saddle pad. But yeah, we do use a blanket, especially for roping, just in case. And we don't want anything to get pinched. Alright, so you're gonna, oh, she's being dancy. Alright, so you're gonna throw this on. Just make sure you get it about even and have it a little ways up. You want to, most saddle pads will have like worn down markings of where the cinch usually sits on the saddle. I don't know if you can see, this got eaten by mice a little bit, but you can see it's worn down a little bit here. So just make sure you keep that kind of in the area where you know your cinch is going to be going. So your cinch will run right behind their front legs, your front cinch. So make sure you position that kind of right there, and then make sure it's even all the way across. So then your next step will be throwing on your saddle pad. So I don't have a super thick one, I don't really need one. But yeah, some people go on just straight with this and not with a blanket, and that's fine if you do that. It's just personal preference and whatever you think is best for your horse. So then with this, you're gonna throw that on just on top of your saddle blanket, or like I said, just on top of your horse. And same with this, has the saddle blanket. There's a bit of a mark, there's definitely an indent. And then most saddle pads have this little, I don't know if you can see, indent of where your saddle, your cinch will go as well, just built right in. Throw that on. Make sure it's even again, the same as last time. And you want to have about an inch of extra room. I don't know if you can see. Let me move her over. There you go. Okay. So you want to have about an inch of room here from the edge of your front of your saddle pad to the front of your blanket, just right here. And then next step, of course, is your saddle. So I will grab mine. All right. So here's an average Western saddle. I've got my cinches thrown over the top of my saddle. Not everybody does this. You can hook it on the side, so you might be like that. And then for me, I usually hook the stirrup over the horn, so it's easier for me to throw it on the horse, less for me to pick up. And then just pick it up and set it on there. And remember, you know from your blankets where your cinch needs to be going, just right behind those front legs, sorry. So just if they're up, unhook your cinches from the little clip, or just throw them over the top, and then you can start on saddling. So we will get on that next. All right, so next we're gonna go on to doing up your saddle. So if you come over to the other side, I'm just gonna bring the camera, that'll be easier. If you come over to the other side, you want to make sure that your cinches are laying flat on your horse. So you want to make sure that there's no twists in either of your front cinch or your back cinch. Some people just ride with a front cinch and that's fine as well. But I do have a back cinch on this saddle. Make sure it's lined up on this side as well, and the blankets are even. They're a little bit off, it's not the end of the world. Make sure your saddle's just in the right position, and then you can head on over back to the other side and start doing up your cinches. All right, so now that we're back on the other side, we're just gonna undo your cinch, your latigos here. If not everybody does them up how I just had them done up, and you know, it's whatever. So then you're just gonna start with your front cinch. So bring that up here, and it depends on the length of your latigo. So this little rope here, I usually have to go through three times around with this. So just through your buckle down here, back through this D-ring, back through the buckle, and then back through the D-ring one more time. Again, it depends on the length of your latigo. And then just pull it up tight. Some horses can be cinchy, so you might want to take this kind of slow. But she's pretty good, so you can pull it up rather tight here. And then you're going to move to your back cinch. Same thing. This one does not take 3 wraps around, though. It's a shorter latigo. So I usually do 2 with this one. Again, it depends. So through the buckle, through the D-ring, and back through the buckle one more time. And pull it up tight there, and do that up. And then some back cinches have this little hook. You can hook it through there. Or if you still find that that's too long, you can hook it back through here. As long as it's done up tight, it won't come undone here. Alright, so then do this one up, and with her, again, it always depends on the horse. I don't have enough to go back up, and it's fine to hang down here. So after you're done doing up your cinches, you're going to move to your breast collar. And not everybody rides with a breast collar, and that's fine as well. So again, you're going to check the other side, make sure that there's no twists. And then pull it across. Now this breast collar is a little bit different than some other ones. It just hangs there looser. So I'm going to hook it through this top D-ring here and do up the buckle. Put it back through the keeper here. And then this one actually does up to the buckle on the front cinch. Again, it's a bit different. Lots of breast collars just have this one buckle that you can do up here or here. And then this one doesn't have it, but lots of breast collars have something that clip to the middle D-ring of your front cinch. So usually this will clip here. Again, this breast collar does not have that, and that is alright if yours doesn't either. Alright, so now we're going to move on to doing up our bridle. So when you do up your bridle, I usually throw the reins over their neck just to make sure that when you undo their halter, they're not getting away on you. So take your reins, just throw them over your neck. You don't have to hold on to them or anything. And then make sure when you are doing this, you untie the halter from the rail or whatever you're tied up to, just so that if they end up untie the lead. If they end up stepping in the halter, then it's not a wreck. It'll just come right off the fence and they can step out of it. All right, so once you've done that and you've got your reins over the neck, you can undo the halter and start putting on her bridle. And if you use a tie down, I will show that as well. So you can just let that drop, and remember, just be careful and keep an eye on it. So we use a tie down on all of our horses just to keep their heads down, just so that they're not walking with their heads up here and getting all kind of crazy. So when you do put that on, you're just going to hook it over their nose and then take this strap and just go over the ears. And then if you do use one, just make sure you unclip this and let it hang so they don't get in a wreck by putting their foot in it. All right, so then you're going to move on to your bridle. So you're just going to make sure that the brow band is kind of equal here and that you got your bit ready to go in. So then I usually just go over their head. And if you find that you can't get up, you can always do up the tie down now, and that'll keep their head a little bit lower. So then it depends on what kind of bit you're using. But for this one, this curved part goes over her lips, or over her tongue, sorry. And then this goes under her mouth. So you're just gonna put that in. Come here, girl. Stick your finger kind of back in there so that they open up their mouth. And then you can slide it in over her tongue. I mean, depends on the type of bit you're using. And then hook this over their ears again. And make sure that their mane is all flattened out and not all squished underneath of the band there. So then on this side, there should be a loose, one that you haven't done up yet. So you're just going to bring that around their chin and do up the buckle on this side. You don't want it too tight because you don't want, obviously, them to choke on anything or be feeling suffocated. Alright, and then you're just going to make sure that the brow band is up and equal so it looks pretty. And then you can go ahead and do up your tie down. And if you're using one with a clip like this, just make sure that this part is up on the side that would be touching them so that this doesn't irritate them. Alright, and one more thing I forgot to mention is when you do up the cinch, you want that D-ring kind of in the middle, so you want the middle of the cinch in the middle of their chest. Alright, so you can take your reins, do them up, throw them over, and you're good to go. You can hop on and go for your ride. Alright, so when you're all done your ride, I'm going to show you how to unsaddle the proper way. So again, we're going to go in backwards order here. So when you're done, you're going to start with your bridle and your tie down. So again, kind of like we did with the reins, take your lead shank, and just toss it over the neck. So when you take off the bridle, you know that they're not taking off on you. And then just make sure you have the halter ready to go on when you're done. So you're going to start by undoing your tie down. And again, just let it hang like this. Don't do it up in a loop just until you've got it off and you know that they're not going to get in a wreck. So then you don't always have to undo your reins here. You know you have the lead shank over their neck. They're not going anywhere. So just undo that chin strap, let it drop, and then you can pull it right off. They'll release the bit from their mouth for you. And then you can go ahead and put on your halter. Do that up. Oh, if I can get it. And then retie them up to the fence. So you really know they're not going anywhere. And then you can go ahead and clip this back up if you want. You don't have to. You can leave it hanging as well. All right, so now we're going to get going with our unsaddling. I'll just adjust you so you can see. You're welcome. All right, so like I said, backwards order. So we're going to start with our breast collar. So if it does clip down here, unclip that first. And then you can go ahead and unhook the straps here. Bring it around and throw it over. You can strap it on. This one doesn't quite reach, but lots of people, you can strap it on to the strip so you know it's not coming off. Perfect. And then again, Gonna move to our back cinch. Just pop that off and let it drop. They're usually more happier when you're unsaddling than when you're saddling up. And this is how I do it. So I go and I take about just a little bit under half of the thing and I fold it and then just tuck it in through the D-ring, and then you can bring it around and kind of tie a little knot here, and that should stay stuck tight for you. So the same thing with your front cinch. Undo it, let it drop, and just be mindful that the saddle is now undone, and if they take off, it's probably going to fall off soon again. And then just take a little bit under half, slide it through the D-ring, and do your little knot. Up. Right, and then you're going to scooch over to the other side. Bring your back over on the other side. If you are going to throw these over, just make sure that they're level, that they're even, and that there's not they're not twisted, so they're just over your back cinch. Mine is it's made of leather, so it's alright if it lays like this, so it keeps its shape. But your front cinch, just lay it flat so the outside goes to the inside of the butt of the saddle. Just make sure, or like I said earlier, you can actually hook it on this, hook your cinches on here, and that works fine as well. Alright, so then we're going to pull off the saddle, and I am not strong enough to like lift up the saddle and pull off. So I just take all three, so your saddle, pad, and your blanket off at once. And there you go, your horse is unsaddled. And another thing I like to do after you unsaddle is just go through and brush them. I usually just use one of these after. Just a little refresh. Especially I'd like to do this if they're sweaty or if they've gotten quite muddy. Get some of the mud off of them now so that next time you don't have to deal with as much of it. Unless they go and roll in the mud, which happens a lot. So when you're done brushing them through after you unsaddle, just make sure that they're not too hot. You can usually tell by just placing your hand on their chest down here. That if they're too hot and they drink too much water, they could get sick. So just make sure that they're cooled off good. Then you can let them out. Then they can eat and drink and be merry. Okay, so thanks for watching. This was Michaela's 101 how to saddle a horse. I hope I made sense. If not, blame my dad. He's the one who taught me how to do all this. So have fun in Dawson.